Welcome to the Creative Dopcast, where we dive deep into the essential questions about how to become a director of photography in England and Europe. I'm a cinematographer who tries to learn and grow with these conversations, and I want to share this knowledge with you. We dive deep into behind the scenes of the DP life on and off set and ask all the interesting questions that usually don't get asked. Enjoy the conversation. On today's episode, we have Laura Seward, a big upcoming DP living in London. Her work goes from narrative, music videos to commercials, and she owns an SR3. Welcome to the show, Laura Seward. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good. Finally, we get to do the podcast together. I was looking forward to
Yeah.
this.
No, it's
Uh,
great. Thank you for asking me on. I'm very curious about the whole thing. Like, I should listen to more podcasts about, our jobs, like the film industry. But the main one I listen to is like Team Deacons, even though I know a bunch of
oh, I
friends of
love
mine
that one.
doing their own thing. I mean, Team Deacons
Yeah,
is such a podcast, like it's hard to compete with that. But I have some friends who are sort of like not too far away level wise from sort of the stuff I do, and I think they do their own one, but I've not actually listened to them. So this is
yeah,
my
fair
first
enough.
listen to this. It's like, no offense,
Have,
guys. I'm sure your podcast is great, but I listen to other things sometimes.
fair enough. Have you been on a podcast before?
No, this is my first time. It's exciting.
Oh,
I've been on
nice.
like I've been on like interviews before, and
Mm.
but not like not a podcast. And I think podcast. This is my first special podcast, so thank you for asking me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice. I want to start this relatively easy and fresh into the conversation with basic question. How did you got into the film industry?
Good question. Yeah, mine was through action sports actually. So, I at school I kind of not I slightly screwed up my exams, like my final exams. So I had to take a gap year where I went off and I became a ski instructor because there was a course where they would teach you to ski and then teach you how to teach to ski. So I didn't know how to ski before I did it, and then I went off and I learned to ski. And then I started pushing children down hills. And then on our days off, I would just go and hang out with friends who were really good and would do like backflips and rodeos and 360s and all that sort of stuff. And I couldn't do any of it, but I wanted to hang out with them. So I started filming them. So I sort of did my own little, like, my own little crappy camera. And I don't even think I had a GoPro at this point. I think it was like a really crappy little thing. And I would sort of taught myself to edit and then started just doing those things for fun. And then at uni, I did a history degree, which is very funny because it's so boring. Like I just did it was I only really did it because I was good at history at school and they're like, "Yeah, you can do anything with that degree and also nothing." So I had like 4 hours a week of contact time, which meant I had a lot of time to kill. So what I would do is I would go on and I would just sort of film my friends, all around skiing and snow sports. Once I left uni, I got a job at an action camera company, which was like a retailer, and they also made their own cameras. So they kind of made it was called Drift, and they were like GoPros, but they were just slightly different design. They're very good for motorcycle users. And yeah, so I did that for 2 years. I worked there as like marketing. I did video editing. I would do athlete management, like events, everything. I was across the board on all this stuff. And then 2 years in, I was sort of like, I was sort of a bit frustrated working there. Like it wasn't, there was a lot of changes and stuff. Sorry, I was going to do a quick swig of the old,
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Take your
yeah, just
time.
keep that throat going.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like very, very naively, I didn't know anything about the film industry at all. I had no clue. I didn't know that you could just join the industry with basically no qualifications. I thought I was like, well, I've done an undergrad. How about I do a master's? And that was something my dad was very much like, if you're gonna do this, you need like a qualification because he also doesn't know anything about the film industry. And he was like, well, they'll hire you if you have an MA. And I was like, now it's so funny looking back because I'm like, you literally need nothing. Like, you don't need
Yeah.
a qualification at all. But I basically looked around. I looked at a few. I think I just read like the Variety top 10 film schools in the world list. Like I did so little research. I didn't contact like anyone who worked in the industry, which is completely daft to think about that now. But I basically looked up and then I saw London Film School, which was, Covent Gardens, literally like a 20-minute walk from where I'm living, still living now. And I was like, oh, well, this looks good because you get to do a bit of everything. You get to do like you have to do every role at LFS. So you do like editing, cinematography, like documentary, directing, all that stuff. And I was like, oh well, this sounds good because I'll figure out exactly what I want to do. Even though I thought I wanted to be an editor, which is crazy to me now. Like I never want to do that again. Um, But I applied and I got in really quickly. And yeah, then basically, I think day one of our cinematography classes, they were like, "This is 16 mil," and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is amazing. It's literally magic. They have silver, and then it creates an image." And I was like, mind blown. Like
Yeah.
I was such a little baby going in. I didn't know what aperture was. I didn't know what like color temperature was. I was completely green. I knew about editing enough, and I knew about like codecs, and I knew how to cut things together, and I knew slow motion, that kind of stuff. But I didn't know like how shutter angle would be affected. I didn't know what NDs were. I was so green, and I had a great experience going to film school because we learned everything. So that's how I got into it, basically, all through this sort of weird world of starring in action sports.
That's amazing. I understand you fully. Shooting on 60 millimeter film, we learned that in our school as well, in
Did
London
you?
Film Academy now. And they told us now it was the last course that was teach to shoot on 60 millimeter film. Everyone else is not going to
Whoa.
do that. Everyone is like getting a, I
Oh
don't
man, you
know.
just got in there, didn't you?
Yeah, it's like perfect timing.
That's
It was
so lucky. That's
so sad
incredible.
for the other people. Like I feel like
I feel so bad for anyone who doesn't like it, especially if
yeah,
like historically you've been able to learn on it. I think it's very sad for people who don't get to because unlike digital, digital we can sort of to an extent we can kind of self-teach what we're doing. The risks aren't really there. Like it's hard to screw up shooting on digital, even though we've seen people who have screwed up shooting on digital. But
yeah.
no, like film is something I think like it helps so much if you are taught it rather than trying to figure it out for yourself because there's so many things that could go wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
And
100%.
how long a film would you get to shoot? Like what kind of project would you shoot with 16 mil?
We had like tiny short films that were like about a minute long,
Oh,
but
okay.
everyone would shoot one, and everyone would like or everyone was every role, and they were just rotating through.
Mm,
So everyone was DP, director, sound, boom
yeah.
op, everything. And at the end, we all sat down in the edit lab and edited everything together, and we saw what kind of mistakes we did shooting first time on
How did
film.
yours go? Also, what camera were you guys shooting on for this?
We are shooting 416 and SR3.
Nice. Okay, well, I have an
Like really
SR3,
good.
so as
Yeah.
you know, my little baby. We learned on Atons, and the Aton XDR is such a cute little camera. Just like sits on your shoulder, just like it's like a sleeping
Yeah.
cat. It's kind of
But is it
amazing.
one that you can like still plug in SDI cables and stuff?
So not these Atons, no. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is a way of getting a video feed out of it, but I don't
Okay.
we were given Atons that looked like they'd been kicked across a parking lot. Like those things had been through some
Yeah.
stuff. How did
Uh,
your project turn out in the end?
Really good. I think like decent. Like in the beginning, you obviously all the lights, like everything is so much differently sensible to light, and you need so much more lighting power in order to light up something for film. So we were not really used to it. I was really used to like just shooting for digital, and you
Mm.
almost need like minimum lighting setup at this point. And with
Do you remember
film,
the
you need
stock
to
that
bring
you were
the
shooting on as well?
200T.
Oh, so you really did need light. Okay.
Yeah, we really needed like a lot of light, and then like blasting this like 2Ks and RE 1K, and but then it's not really shaped, and it's just like a lot of light straight into their
Yeah.
faces. It's really difficult to like do that at this like if you've never worked with film before. But yeah, you obviously know all about it. You own
I
this
mean,
camera.
I will say, like, do you remember the sort of, I mean, I still get it sometimes, but like the fear of like, I'm just gonna meet her one more time just to
Yeah,
check, right? Because if I'm wrong, I'll ruin everything. And then you realize actually, if you're like a half a stop out or a stop out, it's really not the end of the world. Like you can bring it
yeah.
down. Like, okay. But I think at the
No,
time
yeah,
we were taught very like concisely and sort of like, oh, if you mess up that meter reading, like you better pray. And it's like it's really not that bad. Like it's okay. And
yeah,
also we
100%.
weren't allowed, I don't know if you guys were allowed this, we weren't allowed to grade any of our footage until like our final year. So I didn't really we knew that we could, but I don't think any of us took advantage. So I think I took what the print was that we got and that's it. Like you're not allowed to do anything else to it. Whereas now obviously I'm like, no, I would have been able to make that way more contrast. You're really boosted the colors or whatever. But were you guys allowed to do that?
Yeah, we were allowed to do that, but we didn't really know how to. I feel
Yeah.
like grading film is very difficult
Yes.
if you don't know how to do it, and you can like fuck it up really easily and make it really grainy and stuff. And most of us shot like more underexposed than overexposed.
Right.
So it was
Which we now
mostly,
know we don't
yeah,
do. We know we
yeah,
don't.
to make it a stop higher at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually it's just a good safety. If it's a stop higher, it's fine. Just bring it down. Like, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
If you're under, that's when you start going like, oh no, skin tones, no,
yeah,
it's all disappearing. Wah."
yeah, 100%. But so you would say like film school was an experience that you definitely like for yourself you needed it,
Oh,
or and you would
I
recommend
did
it.
because I mean I everyone's different. It sort of depends. I think
Yeah,
there's some people who are absolutely able to self-teach, and there's a DP who kind of like he's sort of my mentor. He's a really good mate called Ben Marshall. See, it's always the Bens. The Bens turn out
the
great.
Bens are great.
I've never met a Ben I didn't like. I'm not gonna lie, but
Nah,
Ben Marshall, who's a very talented DP, he shoots a lot of fashion, but he's one of the smartest people I know. He didn't do film school or anything like that, and he's the sort of person that definitely didn't need film school because he could just self-teach. Like, he's that smart that he did a bit of everything. He was like a DIT editor, sound, and then he sort of just taught himself into DPing. So there's some people like him who definitely don't need film school. They'll be fine without. But I'm someone who like it does help having someone be there and guide. And plus, film school, you just basically the whole time you're just making movies. So
yeah,
you're having yes, you've paid a stupid amount of money to go there, but you are getting work out of it. Like, you are constantly in a safe enough space where you're allowed to fail. Whereas if, say, you're going out, you're shooting a commercial, you have to answer to people. If you fail, it's not great. It's not a good
yeah,
look. Whereas if you're just having fun and experimenting, and also, like, my background in terms of knowledge of cinema, like, I didn't know who the Dardenne brothers were. I didn't know, like, I'd say fairly mainstream in my knowledge of film, whereas we were going into like neorealism and like Fellini and the French New Wave, and it was fantastic. So it was just incredibly fun. It was stressful. Don't get me wrong. Like, film school
mm,
can be a very stressful place with a lot of a lot of very dramatic incidences, like a lot of egos. Everyone also wants to do their role, so it's a bit of a cat fight for people who would like this term. And also, like, you had to pitch your script and pitch you as like the director if you wanted to direct. And most of our term there's about 25 of us. I'd say 75% of the people wanted to all direct, write and direct,
yeah,
which is tough because, that's not everyone's going to get their way. And the only term where everyone was allowed to write and direct was term two. And that was when we kind of did like what you said. You do a rota where this day you're the director, the next day you're the DP. Then after that, you're doing like gaffer or so on and so forth. So a lot of people didn't know that going in, that they're not necessarily going to get to do their role the whole time. And I definitely didn't get to do like for there was one term where I didn't get to DP or camera operate at all, I think. So I just ended up going, right, well, if I can't do that, I'm going to assist in gaffer on all these other films, which was really good fun.
yeah,
But no, film school for me was great. I wouldn't have learned about 16 mil. I wouldn't have been taught by very good tutors like Andrew Speller
oh
and
wow,
Terry Howard's. Like Andrew Speller was Deacon's cam op, as far as I'm aware, and Terry was brilliant. He's a really great documentary maker, and Belinda
yeah,
Parsons as well. She was great. Like Harriet Cox, it was really just very good teachers across the board. All very nice people as well. So yeah, I think film school was right for me. It's not right for everyone. Not everyone needs to go. And a lot of the time people say, "Oh, you're just going for the contacts." But no, I actually needed to learn the stuff too. Like, I really
yeah,
didn't know anything. Remember, I didn't know what aperture was. So I was like, okay, the numbers are small, but the bigger the numbers, the less the light. Wait, what? So I think
yeah,
it was helpful having my little brain thrown into that, where also, like, we're all being taught the same thing, but you get out of it what you can. So if you're interested in camera, that's up to you to dedicate your time to go and work on other people's sets. If you're interested in art department, that's up to you to go and help out other people by, building on props or whatever. So you can be all in the same, class, but the people who are proactively kind of pursuing what they want to do, those are the ones who are getting the most out of it.
yeah, definitely. And I feel like what people mostly don't really get with film school is they have the high expectations. Once film school is done, I can just go straight into the industry.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of naive people.
Mm, and
I
I've
mean, the
with
naive people
my
in
film
my
school,
term as well. They all thought like there was definitely people who were like, "I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna be directing commercials straight away." I'm like, "No, you're
yeah,
not. You're definitely not
yeah,
gonna be doing that."
yeah. I don't know how about with your film school, but in my film school, it feels like most of the people don't even like they graduate and then they're not even in film anymore, and or they're like slightly doing something else. And I feel like only the people that really knew or like were realizing before what was gonna happen soon
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of made it
like,
through, and that made really the decision to like stay and stick to this whatever comes. Do you want to talk a bit like just about that?
yeah, I mean, it does feel like a survival of the fittest thing when you're kind of thrown out into the world. And I don't know. Oops, sorry, let me turn off my WhatsApp. That's
No
not a good.
worries.
Um, yeah, so when you're kind of chucked out into the real world, and our film school, I don't know if they still are like that, but there's not much support. It's basically like, go, you're free, go be a filmmaker, do what you want. There's no like transition period. You graduate and you have to find your work, and you've got like there's not much. And also I think that's just the industry in general. Like there's not many entryways into the film industry that is very supportive and very cushy, and like, oh, here's your safety net if you don't get work. That's not, if you're not going to survive. I mean, even now the film industry's, as we know, tough times. It's not been a great couple of years, and it still feels like survival of the fittest, and that's just freelance life. That's just how it is. But in terms of the people who, in my term anyway, there's actually a very decent amount of people who are all still working in the industry, and those who aren't, it was maybe never for them, and that's fair enough. And in fairness to some people, there is a financial skew. Those who have a financial kind of comfort zone, or they have a bit of a backing, they are going to be able to take risks and try, projects and pay for their own like films, that sort of stuff, which is very unfair because the people who have had to do like a side job whilst at film school, they're already on the back foot because they have to work. They can't go onto set and not be paid anything. They need to work.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
there's it's
100%.
it's not a fair system anyway. Like anyone
Mm.
who leaves without some sort of financial support, if they make it, yeah, they're doing incredibly well, but the odds are already against them, in my opinion, which is
Yeah,
nothing to do with
100%.
talent. Like our industry is very, it has a classist sort of sexist kind of thing anyway. Like the people who do well are people, a lot of the time it's easier for people to come in if they have, if they come from a sort of wealthier background. And it's incredibly unfair because I'd love it to kind of open up a little bit more and have, like it'd be great to have equal rights for the whole thing, but it's just so hard in this industry where a lot of the time at the start you're paid nothing. Like you're doing favors, you're doing freebies, even buying equipment. Like there's people who can buy themselves, you know, like a whole set of lenses that are brand new, that are like, and an Alexa Mini 35, Alexa 35 or something like that. Like that's great for them, but not everyone can do that. And it is a bit of a, it's a loose game, I would say.
And what you say, equipment, if you would buy yourself equipment in the beginning stage, would help you really?
What was your first camera? Was it the Amira or?
Uh, GH5.
Oh, nice. That's a good buy as well.
Yeah.
GH5 is a good choice. I bought a C100 Mark II, which was a very good shout at the time. This would have been 2016, so I was still in film school. 2015, sorry. And I actually bought it because I wanted to go off and shoot a documentary in Pakistan, where my family lived there at the time. They lived in Lahore, and I wanted to make a documentary about the hockey academy out there. That my mum was sort of like a patron of the charity, and that documentary has still never come out, so we're not going to talk about that. But the C100, having that was great because it meant that I would do in the holidays or on time off, I would do like wedding videos or corporate things, or stuff to kind of get your grounding. You're still at film school, but you're able to at least make a little bit of money on the side, and then you start making contacts. And having the camera was very helpful for that. And that's not to say that everyone should go out and buy a camera and that's going to solve all your problems, because not necessarily true. But I've always owned a camera and I found it incredibly valuable.
My thing that I bought in the beginning were my tube lights, and I think they've been like my most valuable item so far. I've used them, I bring them usually on every single shoot I'm on, and mostly find like some way to use them somewhere. And it's
No, it's great.
just,
Also, every time you
yeah,
bring them and they're just there, like
yeah,
especially for the lights, like they're so helpful. And lighting wise, I don't have much. I've got like my Aladdin 1x1 and some bulbs and like an aperture MC just for like eye light and stuff like that. Because most of the time, the gaffer will have stuff or will hire stuff in. Um, and I have thought about like, would I buy lights? And to be honest with you, at this point, no, because I'm renting stuff enough, or the gaffers that I work with, or Sparkies that I work with, they'll have, almost everyone has tubes, is what I would say. So you did like the right thing at the time anyway. Like I think it seemed to be right on trend. But at the moment, like so I have an FX6. I've got my Mia lenses that I have, rehoused, not rehoused, sorry, cine modified. And I'm sort of like, all right, what should I get next? And what I have bought very recently is, they do custom made cine saddles. And I think the cine
Mm,
saddle is the most underrated piece of kit on set. I think that,
yeah.
yeah, just 'cause it's a cushion that you throw on the floor. I think it's fantastic. And I finally want to get my own one because I was doing a shoot recently in Dublin where we were filming in a plane, like a little three-seater plane. It was absolutely tiny, and there's no way you're getting an easy rig in there, and there's no way that you can get anything in there. But in order to film someone, stably at height, like filming someone's face, that cine saddle is like crucial, and it's just about small enough to get in there. It was a bit of a squeeze. But in terms of like buying kit, that is my latest purchase, and I can't wait for it to arrive because I've customized it.
That's amazing.
Got my
Yeah,
name on
it's
it,
such a
everything, so no one can take my cine saddle.
no one can steal it from you, or at
No
least
one can
they
take it.
know who they stole it from.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to put an air tag on it as well because I'm that protective over
Yeah.
it. Air tag's going to cost more than the city saddle. But yeah, but no, in terms of kit, it's always a constant. Like I know people who have, a full camera kit and a van and all that sort of stuff, and that's fine. Like that works great for them, and they get work out of it, which is really good too. But I'm like, oh, it's just such high maintenance if you're getting a van by that point. No, thanks. I mean, I live in right in the center as well, so I'm in the congestion zone. So if I even have a car here, that's going to cost a stupid amount of money.
Mm.
So yeah, I think everyone has their own thing, and the people who do have their own, a huge amount of kit, that's fine. That's good for them. But I'm very happy renting, to be honest with you.
Okay, yeah, it's very interesting. It's always this discussion, renting kit or owning kit. So in
Yeah,
this kind of
it's tough.
way,
And like I had a bit of a
but
scare recently where last year I rented out my FX6 on a website called Weedio. So no one ever put your kit on there. They are scumbags. Like don't do it. My camera basically was rented out and then not known to me, it was sold within an hour of me renting it out. And what the guy did who sold it is he'd rent it back from the guy that he sold it to and give it back to me, which is mental. It's completely insane. And he'd do this for like a few months. I think he rented it from me like 4 or 5 times. And then on the last go, something weird was going on with the camera. I was like, is there a software update or like what's going on? It just something about it didn't feel right. And I checked the bottom and it was the wrong camera. It was a different serial number from one I bought. So he'd swapped the camera. And I was like, I have no idea what it didn't make any sense. Like, why would you swap a camera but give me a camera back?
that's mad.
And it was all part of this guy's like, sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. That's insane.
But it was
That
all
this is
part of
like
this guy's
something.
scheme. Yeah, and
Yeah.
what happened was out of the blue, Weedio knew this was happening too. They knew this guy was doing it, and they let him keep renting, which is crazy to me. And my number was leaked to a whole group of people who'd also had their stuff stolen, and the guy reached out and said, "Have you ever rented to this guy? Like, just so you know, he's a thief, and he's stolen
Mm.
all of this kit. He's stolen 300 grand worth of kit, all via Weedio, which is mad." And a lot of people had also had their cameras swapped or whatever. And luckily on the group, the camera I had, which wasn't mine, someone on the group, it belonged to them, so I gave it back to them that same day. And what was weird is like basically when my camera had been rented out to the guy who thought he bought it, so then owned it, he put a sticker with his name on it. So he put tag films and he put his number on there. Not knowing it was a stolen camera, he thought it was his camera, so why wouldn't you? And I took a picture of it one day, noticing, I was like, why on earth is there this weird sticker on my camera? Like, what's going on here? And I took a picture of it. I didn't call. I just messaged the guy who I rented it to, and I was like, "Why is there a sticker?" He goes, "Oh, sorry, sorry. It was production who did that. Like, don't worry about it. I hope it's okay." And I joked. I was like, "Well, as long as it's my camera," which is like funny in hindsight. But what we did is someone on the group called the number and said, "You have a stolen camera, just so you know." And the guy who is absolutely lovely, he's a guy called Tim Taggart. He came forward and said, "Laura, I was sold your camera. I want to give it back to you." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like,
That is
thank you.
crazy.
Thank you so much. And the poor guy, he'd bought it off of Facebook from this guy who'd rented it from me an hour after I'd rented it out. And he'd also bought another camera and a lens. So he bought like two FX6s and a lens. And I don't know, I hope he gets the money back, but I don't know how he
Yeah,
would. Because it's not even an
yeah,
insurance thing. It's like all gone through Facebook. So I got my camera back in the end. And I think that after that scare, I'm sort of like, wouldn't want to rent my kit out. And also, as soon as you start owning more and more kit, the insurance thing becomes part of it. So I think I sort of like I sort of chilled
Yeah.
on buying more kit at that point too. But that being said, like I've got a camera, I've got the SR3, which is being rented out at Favor Rental. Um, Strongly recommend people rent from there, by the way. The kit is
Yeah.
incredible. Always good condition, and Patrick's great. And my lenses, which are the Mamiya C modified ones, that's at Camera Works. So, but that's all gone through like proper rental channels and stuff. And anything more than that, I don't think I'd probably do it, to be honest with you. But I do want to buy an easy rig. That's my next purchase.
Is this
If I ever
an
make
easy
enough
rig
money.
specifically for women? Like,
Yes, exactly. The
yeah,
Cineflex vest, because every fucking rental house, not all of them, but enough of them, just and I think like Favor do. I think they have the Cineflex vest. But a lot of the rental places, they'll have a normal easy rig that's like for guys, and they never have the Cineflex vest. And it's just so much more secure. It fits better. It's comfy. Also, it's like a steady cam op owning his own vest. You kind of want to because it's going to get stinky at some point if you're constantly renting that stuff in. But yeah, that's the goal. So I don't know if I'll buy that this year, but that would be the most important thing for me next. Outside of that, pretty happy with the kids situation, to be honest with you.
mm,
How about you? Have you got any your eyes on any any nice stuff, any new toys?
I'm trying to like I have a lens now, one lens, but I'm trying to expand on that a little bit. A
What's the
Zeiss,
lens?
Zeiss CP3, 35
Ooh,
millimeter.
okay. What made you want
So
to do the CP3s?
um, I worked with the CP2s before, and the CP3s they have changeable mount. You can just unscrew them very quickly and put another mount on top if you have the mount set. And they're really good all around. When you swap them, put them on gimbals, they're all the same weight, so you don't need to calibrate it again. And they're just good lenses. I got this Amira now for
Mhm.
a ridiculous good price, but it's a really good camera, and I want to like use good lenses on it. Otherwise, I don't. I feel like I'm missing the point
Oh, here's a
with
good
it.
question for you, actually. If you had to choose, if you had to prioritize, say you have budget, you either have budget for a great lens or a great camera. What do you pick? Do you pick the sensor or do you pick the lens?
That's a good question. Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough
I
because it comes up a lot. Like, this is something I
yeah
have to struggle with.
I I think I was in this situation kind of, but I picked the camera in this
So,
situation. But it was a
what,
very
what were
good
the
deal.
lenses that you ended up with? So you have a very good camera, say like, well, in this you gotta have a mirror anyway, but like, say
Yeah.
it's like a sensor or a Sony Venice sensor. What lenses are you putting on there? If you,
Uh,
as in lower budget, are they like, trying to think of, try not to insult anyone when I think of a crap lens, but there
Yeah, I
are
talked
some.
with you about this, and you said you are not a big fan of the CP series,
No,
the
I'm
size
not at all.
lenses.
That's why I'm surprised. I was like, you got the CP2s. I'm basically like, no disrespect to Zeiss. I love most
I
of those
know.
lenses, but fucking hell, the CP2s, I was like basically a doorstop. They were, too sharp, too clean, too clinical, too all of this.
Yeah.
So, but the good thing about the CP2s is at least they're like reliable. And if you get enough, a good example of the CP3s being used incredibly well was The Quiet Girl, which was the Irish feature nominated not last year, but I think the year, maybe last year or the year before, the Oscars. And
Mm.
that was Kate McCullough, who was the DP on it. And I think she said that she wanted the Ari signatures, but they couldn't afford it because, budgets. So she went for the CP3s, and I think she just filtered the crap out of it, and it looks amazing. Like that film is
I have to look into
gorgeous.
that then, yeah.
And honestly, if you look at it, you're like, that is how you can make CP3s look good. So it's sometimes it's about the skills, not about the
Yeah.
lenses.
And they're not the best lenses, obviously. But they are like the most affordable at this stage. I just want some lenses that if anyone asks me, or we have no lenses, but can we use your camera and your lenses? Can we just
Mhm.
go and shoot something that looks
Yeah.
decent? That's kind of why I bought it. I don't like all the lenses out there are so much better, but they are also much more expensive, and these lenses are kind of affordable
Yeah,
in
how
this
much are they
sense.
going for the CP3s?
I think like around like 1,200, 1,100.
Oh, interesting. Nice. I mean,
But
there's so much choice lens-wise. Sorry, you hear
yeah,
a loud siren going past.
I don't hear
Um,
anything. Don't worry.
oh, good. I mean, there's so much choice lens-wise. I think I went for the Mamiyas because I have a Mamiya 645J, the medium format camera, and I was just like, I don't know why. Oh, actually, I think I was talking to Jack Edwards about this. Very good DP. I think he'd done this already. I think he had a set of Mamiyas and we were chatting at Camera Maj about it, and I think he said basically Ari modeled their DNAs off the Mamiya's. Like
Oh,
that's the
really?
look, which is great because I'm like, thank God, because that look is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just started looking around online of like maybe I build my own set of Mamiya's and see if I can silly modify them or something. And then was able to buy up lenses from just random camera shops all over the UK. Like one thing was eBay, another thing was like Bristol cameras and so on. Bought them all in, and then there's this guy called Elliot at Eggs Lenses who city modifies lenses. So obviously you can rehouse them, but that costs like 40 grand, and I don't have 40 grand. So cine
Yeah.
modding is my next best thing. And even talking about like the mounts, people were like, "You're going to do LPL mount, right?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Well,
No,
it makes
yeah.
sense, yeah, because it needs to be it's a full frame lens. Why would I bring that to a PL mount and then you only get the 35 mil
Yeah.
part? Like the interesting bit is the whole lens. So it was kind of like, all right, well, let's do an LPL mount. We'll declick them, cine mod them, and they're great. They're really great. I'm so happy I did it because now I've got a very low cost but very pretty set of lenses that I can now kind of fall back on, and they're clean enough that you can get a decent image. They're not like CP3 sharp or clean, but then
Yeah.
they've got the vintage look and very nice flare and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
between that, I have friends who are doing that with the Canon FDs as well. I think it's like trend at Nikon's as well. Anything that's like a
Mm.
full frame like vintage lens, I think people are starting to sort of like bring them in, mainly because trying to find lenses for an LF is actually not that easy because you have like the K35s, which are like swirly and gorgeous and mushy, and then you have like the Supreme Radiance Primes, which are like sharp. And there's
Yeah.
not loads in between. You've got like the Leicas, I suppose that's probably the closest to the Mamiyas as far as I can think of, but they cost loads of money to rent in. It's like the rental prices through the roof. So it's nice to have this kind of backup option of they're nice. I can't really do like iris pulls on them easily, so that you are limited. They are still not a rehouse lens, but they're great for the money's worth, like absolute bang for your buck, and they're a good option for just narrative, probably fashion, not stuff like cars. But let's be honest, I'm not shooting car commercials at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I ever will, but hey, if
Yeah.
anyone else wants to hire me, vroom vroom, let's go.
That's so interesting. All this, I need to get more into like the whole landscape. I feel like I'm just getting started at this point, so
I
it's
mean, there's
very
this
exciting.
infinite like well of knowledge about
Yeah,
lenses. I'm sort of
and
like
I'm
with the
right at the beginning.
yeah, like we're all just at the top going, hello. There's a lot of
Yeah,
information out there. But when you talk to the nerds, like all the lens techs at Ari and stuff, you're like, oh wow, I really don't know how little I know. Like that's what's fun
yeah.
about it, constantly learning.
Well, that's the amazing part about filmmaking. I feel like you every single thing, like you go into lighting, there is an infinite amount of stuff you can learn. You go into directing, there's an infinite amount you can learn. You go into just lenses, and it's just everything is like there's so much information and so many different variations of everything. It can get so technical, but I love that. It just feels like a never ending, and you
It
can get
is.
really deep into that. Like it's so technical, you can get
Oh, you,
so
you
good
can
with
go in
that.
like down the rabbit hole of like even who was Dan Temple, who's a gaffer I work with, who's great. He at Camera Maj, he asked a question, I think about beam angles from the sky panels. He
Yeah,
asked the Arab guys the question, and he had to go through like three guys, and none of them knew the answer by the end. And that's not to shade on Ari, it just shows
yeah,
how much knowledge there can be, and you're just sort of sometimes like, I actually don't know. I actually don't even
yeah,
how that's happened. I don't even know the science behind it, but there is science behind it. It's definitely an industry for the curious, that's for sure.
yeah,
Hmm.
100%. Um, okay, and for you said you're not really directing car commercials. What kind of stuff are you actually DPing for the people that don't know you?
For the people that don't know, this is where I pitch. So I do a lot of narrative. I do so many short films, but my stuff it's all short form really at the moment. The only long form thing I've worked on is Slow Horses, where I do the CCTV camera work and occasionally like a news camera every once in a while. I've done season 2 till 5. Yeah, I can't remember what season they're on now. But that's the only long form thing I've done. All the short form stuff I'm doing is narrative, documentary, commercials, fashion, and occasionally a nice little corporate to, just keep the money coming in, basically.
Yeah,
But no,
and
it was
how
last year was a lot of documentary. It was a lot of docs, which was good fun because I do love a doc. But yeah,
nice.
it's a whole mix up. There's a little bit of fashion thrown in there every once in a while, but yeah, it's all. And also the work isn't necessarily like it's not always by choice. You know, I would do fashion if I was being asked it a little bit more, but naturally, I think it is fair to say I'm swayed a lot more to narrative. Like, it just comes very naturally to me. I feel very comfortable in that environment. But as we know, short films don't make a lot of money, so you gotta find another way, find ways around it. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And how did you get like into this circle of all the people? How do you like from going from film school, you probably had some connections with people, you knew some people, like maybe you have even like worked on some stuff to make some money already. You graduated, you went out of film school. How kind of did you got started into this whole situation to
It's a
actually
good
make
question.
money?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. How do you get out of film school and actually survive?
Yeah.
What's helpful is at LFS, it's supposed to be a 2 year degree, but at the time it was kind of more of a 3 year one because you're given a last year to either make your own film if you're a director or make multiple films if you're like a DP or production designer or an editor. So in that last year, I was kind of working on and off the whole time. So I was even technically before I'd left film school, I was doing bits and pieces. I did a lot of live videography. So I worked for an events company that filmed like they film like conferences, that sort of stuff. And even though it's tedious and boring, you are operating a camera the whole time, so you are still, fine tuning your skills. So as depressing and as boring as some of these things were, you're making money and you're operating a camera, so you're keeping sharp. So I did that. I did what I mainly did, which I got very lucky about. I managed to get a job DITing at the Tate for like a little Tate Modern project, and those DPs who I was working at the time, it's so funny because they're all so successful now, were Jamie Ramsey, Arthur Loveday, and Ben Marshall, and they're all like crazy successful now. And I was just this little like just DIT the cards sort of thing. But they were all very nice to work with. And then after that, Ben basically messaged saying, "Hey, do you want to jump on and DIT for a commercial that I'm doing?" And at that time, again, still so naive, hadn't really gotten a proper film job. I was just doing like event stuff. And I was like, "Oh, I might have another job that day, but do you know what the rate is?" And I think he said like APA, and I had no idea what APA was. So I was like, "Sorry, could you tell me what that is exactly?" And he was like, "Well, for a DIT, it's 400 quid plus 200 for your laptop." And I was like, "Wait, what? Wait, what?"
I'm
And at the
in.
time, and I was like, "I'm in." And it was funny because I used to also work at the film school. I was sometimes employed to like run the bar or like clean out the whole building, or I was supposed to be being paid to soundproof one of the studios that day, and I think they pay like £75. So I was like, I am leaving that job and I am going over here. So yeah, I did the first job. That was an Adidas job. I was DITing on, and I think Ben just he saw that I was using a lot of, even though I was kind of a bit not self-taught, but I wasn't didn't know the ins and outs of ditting, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think he just saw that I had enough systems and I had enough like foolproof backups and I knew how to use Silver Stack. And I think he was like, "Well, you seem somewhat competent." He's a very patient person. I will point that out. And then after that, he messaged and said, "Hey, how's your loading?" And I was like, "Yeah, great." Having never,
Yeah.
I did load at film school, but you're not really building the camera that much of the time, and you're not setting up a Terra deck or monitors or anything like that. You are, it's not, they don't really set you up to be a camera assistant coming straight out of there. So yeah, I did. That was a terrifying first job. It was. I think Ben also realized very quickly. He was like, "Well, it's easier to train you to be a loader than to train you to be a DIT. So how about we just keep this going?" And so with all of, very much learning on the job, very, very scared. Like, I don't know how to work a tarot deck. I don't know how to work any of this stuff. But people were just, Ben in particular was just very patient with me. So thank you
Yeah.
to Ben. One. But yeah, it's funny. Even Ollie Craig, who was the focus puller at the time, he's now a DP as well. We constantly joke about how I was this there going like, "Ollie, what do I do? I don't know what I'm doing here." But I did a Budweiser commercial with him as the loader, the DIT, and as the gaffer. I think he knew that I was a sort of Swiss Army knife because I'd done all of that at film school. I had the chance to do a bit of everything, even like gripping, and I had a Movi as well. I was a gimbal operator, so I think he was like, "Well, let's use this sort of Swiss Army knife and bring her on a bunch more stuff." And what was great is he kept bringing me on jobs, so I got to do like Burberry commercials as like and Mulberry and a lot of fashion and documentaries. I got to go to Iceland and we got to work on a Bjork documentary, which was incredible. So most of the jobs, I think I owe Ben loads. Like I definitely owe him my start in the career. He was also, he's incredibly like generous with knowledge. Like we would be on a commercial and he would be like, right, this lighting setup costs about $1,000. You would want to do this, 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 and this. So he was literally breaking down how he would do it so that I would eventually pick up this stuff. But a lot of adventures, yeah. So between doing the ACing, a bit of gaffing, a bit of, camera operating and stuff, and then the side hustle of probably doing a bit of editing actually as well. I remember doing that, editing, a bit of videography. I tried to cut out weddings as much as I could because I hate filming weddings. I can't stand them. People really, I mean, people make an industry out of it, but I cannot stand it. So no one asked me to shoot a wedding ever again. Not allowed. But that's basically how I sort of started out. I got lucky. It definitely wasn't skill related. There were way more skilled people out there than me. But I think sometimes you get in with the right people and you're able to kind of stick around, and then you get recommended and you get asked on other things like other productions. And I did that until 2020. I was sort of, this Swiss Army knife, and I would shoot like narrative stuff on the side, and I would shoot like a little mini commercial on the side. So I was doing my work as a DOP as much as I could. And then we were actually on a Burberry commercial, and we were waiting. Stills were ahead of us, so we were waiting for Stills to finish up. And this was on with Ben Marshall again, and he was like, "So, Laura, when are you going to step up?" And I was like, "Will you stop hiring me? Haha." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, no, don't not hire me. No, don't do it." And he didn't do it like that meanly or anything like
Yeah.
that. But he didn't really call me in as much as an AC anymore, and he saw that I was probably going to be okay. And actually, I spoke to him about this recently, and he was like, "It was time. You needed to step up," which is I feel like it's very unfair for a lot of people because people will be like, I didn't step up to focus. I stepped up to DP, and this was after 3 years, 4 years maybe of doing a bit of everything. And I think that's like, I feel like I'm a bit of a cheat sometimes because some people it's like 3 years camera trainee, 4 years loader, 5 years first in C, then they get to camera operate, and I'm like, I just didn't do that system. I got to jump. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was also a terrible focus puller. I would never have made it as a focus puller. Things were out of focus consistently. But yeah, stepped up at the interesting year of 2020, which was a weirdly good year because no one was working because it was COVID. And so I didn't have that FOMO of like, oh, I'm never going to make it. But I ended up being, fine, basically. And so it was
Hmm.
5 years on of full-time DPing, and she's still here just about.
Amazing. There was always the discussion between stepping up like very quickly to DP and then like exercising that from the beginning on, or slowly learning and then slowly with the like how it used to be over the time stepping up. But
Mm,
I feel like so many people nowadays are stepping up very quickly,
I
and
agree.
it has its reasons. I feel like if you step up very quickly, you're not training to become like best at lighting, but you're the best at like managing all the people that light for you in a way that you want it to be, right?
You're right. So much about it. You don't think of stepping up as being the boss and managing people, but that is your job. You are running the show, and it's very weird, especially when like I'm friends with so many of like my crew members. It's not like this weird professional environment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean it's professional, but like it's I hope relatively lighthearted anyway. Like we're making films, we should be having fun. But I'm not like you get me my coffee or whatever, that kind of thing. Like
No,
I'm
no,
not treating
I
people
can
like
confirm that. You're
yeah,
not like that.
exactly.
You're the loveliest person ever. Like you're so
Thank you
chill.
so much. And it was great work. I was so happy I got to work with you on that one. It was such a, we can talk about how we met like in a bit, but it was
Yeah.
such a pleasant surprise because when you've not worked with people before, you don't know what you're going to get. And
Yeah.
that leap of faith, it was a real leap of faith, but that was such a fun job. But in terms of like, yeah, you step up, you're the boss. It's not just about how good are you at camera operating, how good are you at lighting. That's when I made this kind of pact that I would only try and hire people who knew more about their department than me. I always want to hire a
It's
gaffer who
interesting.
knows infinitely more than
Yeah.
I do. And
But isn't that terrifying?
yeah, and
Like,
like you're worried that you're going to be a fraud, and you're like, wait, I don't know as much as you. No, I would always want my focus puller or my loader or my gaffer. I want them to know way more about their stuff than I do because I
yeah.
should know something. Like it would be bad if I knew nothing. But they they're your crew. You don't feel as alone as well. You're like, oh, don't worry. You don't need to panic if this lighting plan doesn't work out. Ben has another idea, or Dan has another idea. And if the camera goes down, that's why we have a very strong camera team. It's like Laura Flack or Mikael Imrock or, you know, all these guys, like they're there to help make your life easier. So I think the stepping up thing, people do forget that, yeah, you're running the show and you've got to have these sometimes tough debates with like production or the director, or like, it's
Yeah.
not just about your direct skills in camera and lighting. It's a people business. So yeah, it's tough and scary, but I don't know, it seems to be, yeah. I haven't seen loads of people struggle with that part, I think. I think I've seen it depends on the personality as well. I think there's some people who are very technical and they, that's their language. And then when it comes to trying to compromise or like work with production to budgets, they maybe struggle with that part a little bit because they're like, why wouldn't you want to give me the kit? We want this to look as good as possible. And then you have to explain production design needs budget too, editing needs budget too. So yeah,
Yeah.
those out of that stuff, it's, all part of the challenge.
Yeah. Definitely. And when you work with so many people together, like just managing that everything actually works, binds well together with within the other departments as well, that they speak to each other and
Mm.
everything. Um, I often have a little trouble with when I shoot something, and then sometimes people you like then you give basically every most of the stuff away, uh, but you don't know how they're gonna edit it. Really, it's a
Yes.
bit out of your control. Sometimes you're not involved in color grading, so they can do stuff to your image that you haven't intended and that you would regret, kind of,
You
because
get
you
that
didn't take that
real
in control.
heartbreak. It's
Yeah,
such a heartbreak sometimes when you've worked really hard on something and you knew it looked good on the day and you knew it was fine. And I mean, hey, it's heartbreaking when stuff just gets killed. Like I did a Speedo commercial 2 years ago that's never going to come out, and it's such
yeah,
a shame because same with a Pepsi commercial. I did a Pepsi commercial that was never going to see the light of day unless I've missed it, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure that they just canned it. Um, yeah, so you either have projects that never happen, or you have projects like you said that the grade is awful and you feel like personally attacked because on commercials you're almost never asked in for the grade. Maybe you're asked for like feedback, but no, most of the time not at
but
all. And you're sort of there going like, well, maybe if I just find the Russians and I download them and then I can do this myself.
yeah,
And then you're like, no, come on, the world has seen it. And so that you're absolutely right. Keeping control, not so much the edit, like the edit, that's for,
yeah,
that's for the director and the editor to work out. But the grade is something that you're sort of like, you hold your breath and then you see it come out. You're either like, okay, okay,
yeah.
this is okay, yeah, fine. Yeah. Or you're like, oh God, what did they do? What lot is that? Who did this? And it's not the colorist's fault, it's because you weren't allowed to be there. So yeah, that
Yeah.
heartbreak has definitely happened a few times. And also there is the sense of, criticism of your own work. Like at me in particular, I'll be on set and I'll remember it being good, and I'll see it later and I'm like, oh wait, why did we do it that way? Oh, this doesn't look as good as I remember. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily just the colorist. You're also like, oh, you were high on adrenaline when you shot this and you thought it looked great, and now you're
Yeah.
back and you're like, it still looks fine, but the adrenaline is like
But do
lower.
you
So there's
have
definitely
ways?
self-criticism.
Yeah, but do you have ways to try to make like to prevent that from happening? Like,
Yeah, I in like pre-production, depending on what the project is. Not so much commercials because, and also it depends on who's hiring you. You like say for example, not I haven't been hired as a DP for Burberry, but they have very, very good in-house colorists, like incredibly good. So you're kind of safe and you're sort of fine, to be honest with you. If it's a short film and if I'm interviewed for the job, the first thing I'll ask after, like technically speaking, is like, okay, budget. What budget do we have for kit? Do we have a colorist? And they're like, and if they're like, oh no, we're not going to use a colorist, then I'm like, ooh, big red flag, big red flag. We are going to use a colorist, or we're not going to
yeah,
do it. If
yeah.
especially if they say, oh, we have an editor who grades, you're like, uh,
Mm.
and that's no disrespect to the editors who do grade. Some of them are fine, some of them aren't. So
Yeah.
I was like, but I think it's about having the conversation at the start of like the grade means a lot to me. I have the colorist that I work with a lot, who I adore, like Carol Cybulski, who's at Harbor, is like one of my. She's not just my mate; she's like the bee's knees of colorists. She's so good, and there's loads of really good ones out there. But obviously, money. So you sort of like there's been films where I've said I will pay for the color grade. That's how much it matters to me, and I've only really had to do that twice. I think the rest of the time production were like, oh well, if she's wanting to fork out for this is probably kind of not a good thing. We should probably pay for it. So it's about having a very good relationship with colorists out there, you know, there's people who work on different budgets. There's some people who just love like the story or the script, and so they'll call it their passion project. But at the start, it's about making production aware of how important the grade is to you as well. And some producers listen and some don't. And when they don't, you just kind of, you know, there's enough projects that a project that turns out good and you're happy with is, I wouldn't say it's like a rare thing, but when you're like 100% happy and all of it's gone well, it's not the most common thing, probably.
Mm.
Maybe for the guys with bigger budgets, but you know, it's all in the small amounts of heartbreak we get in the film industry. We're like, this could have been great and it's good, but it's not quite there. So it doesn't
Yeah.
happen all the time. Most of the time, when the grade has gone ahead and it's with a colorist I like and I've seen their work, 9 times out of 10, I'm very happy. But you know, it's one of those things. That's one of the things. Also, shooting on film, there's only so many ways you can screw up a grade when you shot it on film. So that's another reason
True.
for why people want to keep that perspective. Like
Yeah.
you can't make it black and white now, can you? Although you probably can.
Yeah, and
Or
other
actually, sorry,
different
if you
things.
shot in black and white, you can't make it color,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, see, I did that. I have control.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all like, I don't know, maybe not everyone, but in camera department and lighting department, there's definitely that sense of a little bit of like control and like I just need to
Yeah.
like just there kind of thing, you know?
And other things you like discuss with the people in the beginning phase? What are other things you go to them directly and tell them what they have to do? Do you talk about like insurance of the shoot? Do you
It
talk what
depends
kind
on,
of stuff do you
yeah,
talk about?
yeah. I mean, it depends on the producer. You will know an experienced producer from. I'm so good now at spotting red flags when it comes to production because you can see it from a mile away. Even how they like write an email. Sometimes you're like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. This is
Mm,
already an uphill struggle. But for a producer that's or a production that's maybe a little bit green or they don't have the money, it's just about being honest. And the things I'm always very much on is like, okay, what is the budget for camera and lighting? How many days are we doing this? Say it's a short film or whatever. What's the like? I need my crew to get paid. I don't like asking my crew to work for free, even though the first time we worked together it was for free. So I will discount that one.
yeah.
Um, like every once in a while, I never want people to work for free. I will always try and fight to get them
Yeah.
on. And if I do have them work for free, I will always try and repay that favor. So I'm aware that I need to get you on something very soon that actually pays and like really I need to get you on an APA job. But that's kind of for me, that's how it is. I know I don't technically owe people, but I think if you're asking for favors, you need to repay those favors. So I'm very
Yeah.
much need also like some producers, I don't know why, but some producers will just assume that you have no crew and that they need to go and find your crew. I have crew. Like
Mm.
I will
Yeah,
bring my crew.
you know your people better than they
Like
do.
I have people, and if they're all
Yeah.
busy, then fair play will go and find someone. But there's
Yeah.
so many crew out and about in London. Like it's not hard. So it's when, you know, when producers go in and hire, have they already hired a gaffer and an AC before even hiring you? That's a bit of like a maybe don't do that. Like maybe ask me
Yeah.
about it first. And you can have a say. But if they've got a say, for example, say they're bringing their own kit, that's fair enough. That's probably why they have, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's a conversation to have. And what you normally do is if their name comes up, you check it with friends, like there's a bunch of WhatsApp groups, and you say, has anyone worked with this person? And if they're good, then you should stick to it and try working with someone new. And
Yeah.
if there's enough red flags, which sometimes it comes up, then you like, okay, look, I'm aware that you have this person lined up, but I would really like my own people. And then you just talk through it. And if it's a real problem, like where there's a safety element involved, you still have time to walk, I suppose. So I haven't done that
Yeah.
yet, but I know people who have done that.
Yeah, but it's very respectful that, and I really feel what you're saying, like with that you should like try to fight and stuff for paying your crew. That's I've worked on so many jobs where there are people where like, oh yeah, it's normal that you come on and just do it all for free, and then you do 2, 3 hours, 4 hours of overtime, and
Yeah, not
all of this,
okay.
and then unpaid, and everything is really a bit shitty, and then you really like start to lose your motivation of being like, why am I even like doing
Like,
this
why am
at
I even
some
here?
point?
Like,
Yeah,
and also if you are going to do something for free, you need to have the reason, whether it's to work with the director or work with the DP or work with, you know, try and get it on the production company. Like, like for the one that we did recently, the Butch Hands one on film, that one I did for free because Lydia is such a great director and Grey Moth are great, and
yeah,
we were shooting film and like it was a real like adventure and a real fun thing to do.
yeah,
And like that was my reason for doing that. Also, I
yeah,
technically spent money on that because I gave film away for it, and I'm
yeah,
still I'm still like still fine doing that, and I use the camera that for free as well because it's mine and well, I co-own it anyway.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, like if you're there's rules I have with production whenever it comes to a short film that's like low paid or free. If you're on a short film and it's low paid, free, whatever, you really can't push people for overtime unless like it's
yeah,
not okay to treat people like that. Also, you really have to look after them. Like if you don't have budget for, you know, to pay them well, you have to feed them well. Like do not order Domino's or anything like that just because like no, don't do that. I mean, like for example, there was one short film where we did have to, and it's because it was a night shoot and we were in the middle of nowhere. So no shade to that producer.
then it's
He
fine. If you can't do anything else, then fuck it. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
But
But
don't
yeah,
don't be like, oh well, we're out here. You guys can, you guys can have pizza for 3 nights in a row. You're like, no, that's not okay. You really need to look after your crew. If they're doing you favors, you need to sort them out. So there's some things with that. Also, safety is something I'm a real stickler for. Like anyone who's in any, if there's an unsafe situation happening, no one will ever forgive themselves if that ends up being, an injury or death of a person. Like there's no
yeah,
need to risk anything for a shot ever. There is no need for that. So health and safety is something I'm always very much on. If and also you were saying things like insurance and that kind of thing. Production should have all that covered, and if they don't, that means you are working with someone inexperienced, and that's going to be hard for you. And to be honest with you, out of my friends who are all DPs, um, we are quite good producers because we've done a lot of stuff and we work on a lot of things. So when not that you do this all the time, but if you see production overlooking things that are crucial, like, hey, we need a van, or what about like, where's the kit going to get stored? What are we doing for power? All this sort of thing. Not power so much, that's more of our department,
yeah,
but like, transport, all this kind of thing. If they're overlooking all those things, including insurance, then that is a big red flag. Like you are not employed to be the producer. You are the DP, and having to follow someone the whole time just to try and check that they've done their job right is exhausting. So it happens a lot. It happens
yeah.
on and anything from like commercials to short films, it'll happen. Um, and you just sort of assess it and you go back to your camera team and say, so guys, this has happened and we're going to try and deal with it, but yeah, just don't trust anything they've said, sort of thing. And I do feel like there is sometimes that production versus department kind of battle, but I'm talking about bad productions. I'm not talking about good ones. Like I work with amazing producers who you don't need to think about anything. They have sorted it all. They will bend over backwards for the production, and it's incredibly lucky I've gotten to work with those people. Like
Hmm.
it's when you have an inexperienced producer or a negligent producer and they don't know it, that's when it's hard. So
Yeah,
yeah, these it's like any project. The projects will come up. You'll have a tough time for whatever reason, not necessarily because of crew or because of client or whatever. And that's why it does help having people you've worked with before next to you because there's that camaraderie and sort of like, okay, let's get through this, and then we've all got each other's backs. So that's why the teamwork is there. If you're on your own, it becomes incredibly difficult.
sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. I get that.
There's
Did you
there's
did?
horror stories from every shoot. Like,
Yeah,
my flatmate's a director, and she also production designs a lot as well. And we would used to come in from shoots and just be like, "How was your day? Bad. How was your day? Not good." And then you can just unleash and be like,
yeah,
this happened," and then you won't believe what they didn't do. So yeah, it's how you unwind, right?
yeah. Definitely, definitely. And generally, when you're just slightly a different topic now, when you're like preparing for a short film or like a longer film that just it's gonna be for like a couple of days at least. What you gonna do to like make your life easier during those shooting days? Do you like pre-cook or like what is the process in your life that you are doing when you are preparing for a shoot?
It's an excellent question, and I probably don't have a very good answer. I mean, you said like, pre-cooking or whatever. That is probably a great idea. It depends on the project. So if it's like a short film, also depends on the hours, depends on where you
Yeah,
are. Like, I was shooting in Dublin like a few weeks ago. So there's not much I can do to prep for that in terms of my own sanity. All I can do is try and just try and keep your health at a decent level, keep your immune system okay, and it will get compromised and you will crash after tough shoots. Um, it's definitely about limiting. I know enough people who party hard after shoots and then they're on the next day, but I can't do that anymore. Like I'm
yeah,
34, I will die if I never drink before a shoot ever because, and
Yeah.
not even like one. I'm like, there's no point. Like I will end up hating myself. It's about, it is about looking after yourself. It's about maybe unwinding to someone who isn't on that film is often quite helpful. In terms of if you're on for like say a 4 day shoot and say it's all night shoots, you just got to get your sleep and you got to put your foot down on making sure you're resting and trying. Also, you've got to switch your brain off from work. You've got to try and find a way. So if I'm shooting like a very intense like short film that's about drama, I'm probably going to go home and watch Below Deck because it's so far away. There's nothing to do with cinematography in there. It's just about, drunk people on a boat basically.
Mm.
So there's that. And I'd say like, get I've got a very good chiropractor as well. That guy is the best. Jonathan Cairns hooks you up. So much of it is also about looking after your back because we are in a very heavy lifting industry and my
Yeah.
back is working left, right, and center. So once I've come off a job, if I'm definitely felt it, if it's been a very handheld shoot or just very physical, I'm going straight over there, getting a fine tuning, and then sleeping incredibly well. But yeah, in terms of prep for that stuff, you just sort of take it a day at a time, I think. So say it's a
Mm.
4 day short film or say it's a 3 day commercial. You're just sort of like, well, all I can really do is concentrate on this day right now, and then we'll think about next day when we come to it. So it's you just don't want to overwhelm yourself. But it's an excellent question, and I would love to have a better answer because I've got friends who
That's a
like,
good answer.
I've got friends who go like climbing and yoga and that sort of stuff. And I do that sometimes as well. Like climbing definitely helps a lot. But yeah, sometimes you just need to sit down and have a beer, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, once you've finished. Like it's great to debrief with your team too. I think I always try and do a little debrief. Like if it's myself and the gaffer, I'll be like, how if we'd have done this differently, how would we have done it differently and would it have been better like within our means? Like obviously you can't like order in like anything that's out of budget, but it's something good to be like, so this one here that we struggled with, how would we do it differently next time? And the same with camera. It's like if you say, guys, so how did it go for you? What do we need to change next time? Because you are trying to make everyone's life easier and you sort of take that on and like go for it. So you
Mm.
do need to reflect a little bit. And sometimes you just want to forget that job ever happened. So that is also how alcohol helps.
And when you are done with the job, like in between shoots, do you have any things you do in the meantime while you're like just enjoying life? Do you have any hobbies?
It's a great question because this is something that they don't ever really tell you when it comes to being a freelancer is how much time you are not working. And in the last 2 years, it's been bad for a lot of people. Like last year, there would be, I think, entirety of August, I didn't have a single job. And the entirety of October, I didn't have a single job. And that wasn't just me, that was a lot of people. And it wasn't necessarily those months, but half of us trying to keep sane when we have no structure and we never know when we're going to get called up is trying to be proactive and like productive in your downtime and not go stir crazy, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Like last year, people were it's not good for your mental health. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And people like have really struggled, particularly at this kind of tough times. But I'd say in a sort of normal situation where the work is relatively regular, things that I do open water swimming. So I like a bit of a cold swim, which is nice.
Nice.
I also develop and scan my own film like for 35 and for a medium format. So that I love doing. I feel it very therapeutic. And it's like just about in the film world, but it's not 100% that.
Well, that's really
It's
cool. Where do you do that? Like just
I
at
just
your
do it like I
place?
just do it in my flat. Like you don't need a dark room for it because you just load in the tent and then you
Oh,
stick the film
wow.
in a Pepsi tank and you can pour the chemicals in and out without any light getting in there. But I do have plans to make one of the bathrooms possible dark room, but my flatmate's gonna love it. So
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. I didn't know that.
yeah,
That's so
I
sick.
there's an enlarger that's quite affordable. I think it's only 300 quid compared to other enlargers, which are like A, huge and B, crazy expensive. And I'm gonna start trying to get into printing as well because at the moment
Hmm.
I'm scanning. At the moment I scan it, I do it in Lightroom, but printing is like a whole other adventure. So my friend has one, and I'm gonna go over and we're gonna do a little demo together, which will be fun. But that's like a fun day of inhaling chemicals, so I love that. And outside of that, catching with friends, going climbing. I used to skateboard a lot, so I used to go out and skate all
Wow,
around
yeah.
Vicky. I haven't done that in a while because I took a bit of a bang, a bit of a fall, and then I was like, wait a minute, you might not be able to work if you keep doing this. So the
I
skateboards have
see.
been a bit more chill for now. But what I also try to do is I try to go back to Ireland a lot because it's where we live, it's a seaside town. And
Yeah.
just the most beautiful, relaxing place. And no one there, out of like our family, friends, and stuff, no one works in the film industry. So you completely just rewire. It's not about being competitive and getting like that commercial done or talking about lenses. It's actually just talking with normal people. And we have a boat as well, so we'll take the boat out and go for a swim and like walk the dogs, you know. So family time,
Yeah.
friends time, that's all going to keep you grounded. And I think you have to do something, and you have to talk to people sometimes who are nothing to do with the film industry, because your perspective is like relax, like it's okay.
Otherwise, you can't shut down, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as much fun as it is to nerd out, there's nothing quite as grounding as going home to your parents and your brother and sister farting on you, quite frankly. So it's like
Yeah.
there's nothing that's gonna humble you more than like, "Hey, loser!" You're like, "Oh, great, here we go." So we're a very we're definitely, you know, it's good family vibes, I would say. So yeah, it's good to kind of get your head out of that world.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt the same with recently going to Slovenia. Now, it's just getting out there, getting some nature in, like coming from London, like so much like stuff happening all the time. You need to be available any minute. Like there could be a phone call coming in, and then you like back on set for like a 24-hour shoot or something. But going
You
like
can
out.
don't be on 24 hours, man. You gotta walk at that point. Please don't do that kind of overtime. You'll kill yourself. Don't do it.
Yeah. That was just like, yeah, just going out there and just relaxing in the nature of like just refilling your like your energy. And I felt like I didn't know that I needed so much like this energy, but and I really like learned this now for the first time for myself. I'm like, oh shit, I really needed a break.
Yeah.
Like
You only
I
realize it when
didn't,
you're out
yeah,
there, and then you're like, whoa, I was very wound up. You don't know you're stressed when you're stressed a lot of the time. Like you
yeah,
your fists without realizing it. And then as soon as you're there, you just like whenever I get into it's the name of the town is Skull. It's a great little town. Whenever I get there, I literally feel my shoulders just like drop, and you're just sort of like,
yeah.
oh, okay, this is fine, this is good. I think
Do you
it's
for
super.
yeah, and you force yourself to do like holidays and stuff and like just time away sometimes a little bit.
I mean, basically, because the last few years, you know, when the industry's been rough and so money's tight,
Yeah,
holidays haven't been as, you know, easy to do. But Ireland is basically the easy holiday because I'm staying at my parents' house and it's
yeah,
free. So thank you, mum and
yeah,
dad, for all that. And you're not really spending much. Like you're kind of chilling out. But this year I did go on my first ski holiday in 3 years, which was
Oh,
great.
yes.
Which well, you say that the snow was pretty bad, and
Oh
unfortunately I caught
no.
food poisoning on day two, which
Oh
sucked
no.
bad. Sod's law. But the good thing was the last day, the weather was good, the snow was good, and I was feeling better. So I did a full day. And even though I paid for a full week, and you're like, no, it's so much money, it
Yeah,
was worth it just to have that one amazing day. I was like, I'm back. This is great. And I used to, you know, I used to be a ski instructor. Like I was literally, I had
yeah.
4 winters back to back where I was skiing every week in just like the snow dome up in Castleford when I was at university, and then going to Australia to do a full season down there in the summer holidays. So
Oh wow.
it was a huge part of my life in like my 20s. And then to not have that for a long time, you're sort of like, "Oh, I miss this other part of me that used to
Yeah.
be me." So it's good to remind yourself. It's good to remind yourself of you can be like yourself the DP or yourself the gaffer or whatever, but you really do need that other part of yourself as well. Like,
100%.
however, whatever you want to do. Like, I have friends who volunteer at like kitchens. I have friends who teach yoga, and you know, everyone has to kind of find their thing, but you can't just do film the whole time because also, like, we're telling stories, we're filming things. You have to go out and look at the world. You got to go see it because you'll
Yeah.
forget you know what it's all about. So it's,
Yeah.
just go live as happily as you can within all of our financial means.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good advice, honestly.
It's
It's really
something I need to follow more myself, by the way. I'm saying this and, like, do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think we're like slowly getting towards the end. I have some just some small questions I always ask the people here that come on. First question is, what would you tell someone if they want to like break into the industry the moment?
Good question.
In
I'm
London,
mentoring
maybe
in
like more
London.
specific.
Um, Advice for them. Like, I'm actually mentoring 2 people at the moment who are both like just kind of getting out of school. And I am honest with them, and I say at the moment it's very tough to be in the industry, so you need to be prepared. You can't sugarcoat it. It's, jobs are tough, like, rental houses are going under, all that sort of stuff. But you need to be proactive. You need to, um, yeah, it's tough giving someone that kind of advice. I'm basically saying, like from my own experience, I'll be like, this is what I did. I side hustled. I had a bit. I spent money, invested money in equipment, so that I was able to at least shoot something. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, but I think advice for people starting out is the people are what are it's the people who are going to hire you. So equipment isn't necessarily going to get you hired. You need to go out and find your kind of you need to go find your network. You've got to go meet up with people, go to even like rental houses and chat to those guys. Even just to do like lens test days. That's how you meet more people.
Yeah.
But in terms of the rest of it, I don't know. I think everyone at the start needs a bit of a side hustle. Like you're not going to go straight in and be a DP. Like it's highly unlikely. Some people do, and good for them, because they probably have. I don't know how they do it, but they can do it. But everyone needs a little bit of a side hustle for financially supporting themselves. So yeah, in terms of advice, you need that support network around you as well. Like you would with almost any job, you need people to tell you like it's gonna be all right, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna make it through this film.
Yeah.
But also, I would say this is it is an industry and we are here to work, but please enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying yourself, you shouldn't be doing it. Like you're not proving anything to anyone that you've just done an 18-hour day and you hate your life. And we've all had those days. But it's fun. This is film. We're making fun things happen. We're not always having fun, but you have to remember like the bigger picture. If you want to go out and shoot corporate stuff, that's fine. That's, also good, but try and enjoy yourself while you're doing it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so
A bit
so many
rambly,
people.
but
No, but it's true. That's so true. Like so many people go out there and they just it's really difficult for a lot of people to actually make yourself a living and not go crazy, or like a lot of people get really mad while being in the industry, why, but I feel like the main reason why we went into the industry is because like we went in this because we don't want to sit in an office job for
couldn't have
like
said it better myself. Like
for all
we're
this time.
we're like
We,
pirates basically.
yeah, and if we forget that we the alternative is to go in an office job and work there, or we do what we do, then it's just sometimes important to remind ourselves that this is like the thing, right? Why we are here, why we're doing this
Exactly.
stuff.
Like there are one thing I also would say to people, if you are even questioning whether you want to work in the film industry, don't. Like
Yeah,
if you are in this for money, go do something else. There are so many easier ways of making money than the film industry. Like you have to care. Like I think maybe
yeah,
people get a bit jaded further down the line and then it does become all about the money, and that's fine. But no, do not come into the film industry expecting like glory and riches. That's not what
yeah.
we're here for. We're not
That
here.
is, yeah,
I'm not here for the
100%.
money, that's for sure. I'm here because I
Yeah,
love I love my job, but I don't always get to do my job. And that's actually the hardest part of it, is how we don't always get to do the thing that we found that we love. That's like where the downtime comes into play. So yeah, that's where the balance comes out. That's where you gotta look after yourself.
yeah. And the last question, three of your favorite films of all time, or that come to your mind right now.
Three favorite films of all time. These are such hard decisions. Because someone will say something later and I'll be like, oh, it is that film. Why didn't I
Yeah.
say that? But I would say it's
But
the
just
film
comes
that
to your
I
mind right now. Nothing like it's
no,
not
that's fair.
forever.
That's fair. Wim Wenders' Perfect Days was a beautiful film. I love it. I'm still thinking about it. Um, that's number one. I will answer what I said in my film school interview as well, where they said, name one of your favorite films. And everyone's gonna laugh at this, but it was The Lion King. And it's
No.
because it's the first film I remember seeing in the cinema. I was 4 years old when it came out, I think. So I still have that memory of like at the start of it, nah, all that. And that's a very big memory for a kid. So The
Yeah.
Lion King will always have a special place in my heart, even though obviously like it's not, I don't know, it's not fancy or like, Oscar winning film of like real sincerity. It's basically Hamlet with lions, but it's a very important film to me. And the film that made me kind of realize how important camera operating can be in framing for a film, was The Sun by the Dardenne brothers. That's another
Mm.
one. I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, oh, wow, this is very simple, incredibly effective storytelling. And most of it is how the camera is moving through the space. So I'd say that is another top three in terms of how it's influenced me. I think I use that film a lot to be like, this is how you can simply immerse someone into a story. So those are my three top films. We've got a little fun kids film. We've got something quite a dark story, the Sun, to be fair, and then we got Perfect Days because it's a beautiful little film.
No, that's lovely. I honestly don't know why you thought that people would make fun of you, like because Lion King is an amazing film. I love
Yeah.
all the like old Disney films and old Pixar films. I'm at the moment like rewatching like a lot of them, just
Oh,
because they're
nice.
like
Yeah.
so like underrated.
They
They're
are, and also
incredible.
like it's Hamlet with lions. Like, come
Yeah,
on, guys,
exactly.
Hamlet is a classic. I think that, this is where like people who take the film industry too seriously, sometimes they're like, I think you'll find that my favorite film is this, and it's won all these awards in Cannes. Can you
Yeah,
like watch Sister Act, okay? Like there's some funny films out there
just have
that you
some
can
fun.
enjoy
Yeah,
yourself. Like we don't I love Tarkovsky. Tarkovsky's amazing. But geez, I don't want to rewatch it all the time.
yeah,
Enjoy yourself, please.
exactly.
Gonna be
Oh,
funny
thank
now.
you.
People are gonna be like, "Oh, you have no idea about art." I'm like, "No, probably not, but that's fine."
No, I don't think so. I don't think that people think so. Thank you so much, Laura. How can people find you?
They can find me in my room. No, that would be a terrifying thought. Suddenly, just faces at the window. So on Instagram, laura.seward.dop, and then on my website, just lauraseward.com. Um, yeah, just yeah, I think those are the places. I can't think anywhere else. Like, I'll see you on set, hopefully. That'll be good. Like, just don't,
Yeah,
find my number in the call sheet or anything. But yeah,
yeah.
those are the places I think you can find me and work and stuff. And yeah, this has been great, man. This has been a very, very lovely interview.
Amazing. Thank you so much.